Hello, everyone. I am here with the incredible Tanya Klett, and we have such a fun conversation, such a fun topic. We are going to talk about charisma. And today we're actually going to talk about charisma and just how it impacts your business. But Tanya, I'd love to throw this to you. What does charisma mean to you?
I think there's so many definitions and meanings, but the first thing that comes to mind for me, it's grounded in authenticity. Just being unapologetically yourself, not taking yourself too seriously, not being afraid to laugh at yourself. And again, just that authenticity, vulnerability, and building honest connection.
I agree. And I do think that authenticity, what you described as feeling comfortable, in being yourself and genuinely being yourself, I really do believe that is a serious foundational element of anyone who has what we would call natural charisma. And we call it natural. However, I believe you can enhance and develop charisma. Would you agree?
I think so too. I think, a lot of it probably, to me, it's about being comfortable in your own skin. And you can develop that. If you're not feeling comfortable in whatever, you can. I'm in agreement. I think it would take some time, but it can be done.
I agree that it can as well. There's one author, an expert in this area. Her name is Vanessa Van Edwards. And she talks about the science of people. And she stresses that you can develop and you can enhance your charisma if you put attention to it. And she gives some guidelines on how you can do that. One of the frameworks that she uses is that charisma is intersection of warmth with competence.
Oh, I like that. I'm not familiar with her, but I really like that. That speaks to me.
And I feel like when we're talking about charisma in a business sense, that is a goal that you could actually work towards, because you and I both know people that are incredibly competent, experts in the field, and yet they're cold as ice, right? And so they're authoritarian. We would go to them and rely on what their expert knowledge is, but without that warmth, they do not necessarily have charisma.
I agree. And a point that came to mind as you mentioned that is ego as well. I think you can have that competence, and with that you bring in caring, and you take away kind of the competition and the ego. I think that's sometimes where people get stuck.
I think you're right. Yeah, when it's more important to prove to everyone in the room that you're the most knowledgeable, even if you add warmth to that kind of ego or arrogance, it will not come across as authentic.
It won't. And people can spot a fake a mile away. I live and breathe that, and I feel it.
I think you're right. It's when I think about how we can spot it, this might be a good segue for us too, to some of those things that you can learn and develop the habit of incorporating into what you do. There's something that, oh God, I'm going to nerd out for a minute. Nerd alert. We have micro facial expressions, and they're in a split second, and people pick up on it immediately. This ties in with, we've all heard where body language is up to 93% of our overall communication, right? So it is the littlest things. It is when somebody smiles and it doesn't engage their eyes. Right away, like not only is it not a genuine smile, wouldn't you agree that can actually be creepy?
It can be really creepy, yes.
Or scary. Like
well, it's off-putting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is where we're picking up on, wait a minute, that's not a real smile. Like it creates distrust. Another one is just those little moves we make with our eyebrows that we don't even know really about, but if you raise your eyebrows when someone's talking, you're usually showing you're interested and you want to know more. But if you fret them or they're more relaxed, it can show that you're questioning what they're doing. So
I have a teenager at home. I'm very, very familiar with some of those facial expressions.
Very familiar.
Yes.
So I do think jumping back to, and you started us off with, what are some of those core foundational elements that someone has that we would say has charisma or is charismatic?
Likability. I think likability, generosity of spirit, emotional intelligence, which you touched on as well a little bit with the facial expressions. It's picking up cues. And I think a lot of it is make people feel important, not impressed. I think there's is
Yes.
that I think, oh, there's so much to it. I think I touched on the confidence without ego. I think that's really
Mhm.
good. The authenticity. And again, that charisma begins with presence. And that involves really listening, eye contact, being present, and asking a lot of questions too. I think again, it's taking that focus off yourself and putting it
Yes.
on the others around you. I think that's a lead in too.
I think you're right. And I do think that is one of the ways that you can build charisma.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say someone is listening to us right now and they're like, oh, I would rate my charisma on a very low meter. I think one of the very first things they can do is what you just said, is to become genuinely curious about anyone that you meet. And I'm so thrilled, I already wrote it down, to say it one more time, that you don't want to impress them. You want to make them feel important.
Right, yes.
I think that would be a really great starting point for anyone, whether they are in hospitality, sales, customer service, relations. Frankly, even if someone is in a cubicle in a corporate America, work environment back in the office, just to bring that element every day when they come into the office, to stop themselves and say, I'm framing my day this way. I'm so curious. I want
It's
to know.
that curiosity, the listening, the paying attention.
Yeah. I think that would
so.
be.
I think that would be an excellent start.
And smiling.
And smiling, and smile with your eyes.
With
really
your
mean it.
Right.
I do that if I leave a voicemail too. I smile. It's something I picked up in hospitality. It comes through in your voice.
It does.
Yeah.
And there's studies that show that. Even if it just over the phone, this. I don't I'm preaching to the choir. People over the phone in studies, if they are asked, they know who was smiling and who was not.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's big data. So yeah, if you smile when you're talking and when you're engaging and when you're listening, that is going to be huge.
Yeah, but you don't need a Cheshire cat grin on your faces either. Just make it a genuine light smile. You
mean you don't have to be like,
yeah, right?
Right. It doesn't have to be over the top. I just thought of one of my key affirmations every day, every morning. And it's part of my emergency affirmation pack if my day goes pear-shaped or sideways.
Okay.
I move through the day with ease and elegance. And I feel like ease and elegance is another key element of people who are perceived as charismatic.
I agree.
Or having charisma.
I really like that. I'm actually writing it down. I'm going to use that. I move through the day with ease and elegance.
And I have a smile, a natural smile at the ready.
Well, just saying it makes you want to smile.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a question for you. And I know I didn't send you this question or anything beforehand.
Okay.
Do you feel as if societally, culturally, was our overall level of charisma impacted by COVID and the shutdowns?
Yes.
I agree.
Absolutely, 100%. I think people withdrew and I've noticed it in myself too. I'm a little less social than I used to be.
I agree.
And I think that withdrawing, it's hard to be charismatic if you've withdrawn. So maybe that's something that people can focus on too, is actively coming out of their post-COVID shell and getting out there.
Getting out there.
Yeah.
And being curious and moving with ease and elegance, having that confidence that they're going to make whomever they encounter feel important.
And feel good. Just make them feel good. Yeah.
That's right. That's where that warmth comes through.
I think so too. And I forget who said it, but that it goes along the lines of something about people will not remember what you said or did, but how you made them feel. And I'm paraphrasing, but I really do believe that.
I do too. And I think it has shown up. So I was thinking maybe you and I could offer more ideas of, let's say someone is having that feeling that they've lost their spark, or they feel like maybe they were more charismatic and now they feel like they lost their mojo. To quote one of the most charismatic fictional characters, Austin Powers, right?
Yes.
I think you and I think we could come up with some ways that people could work on their charisma right now. And maybe we could go back and forth. Because we didn't plan this out.
No, I'm just thinking of it. Yeah, you've got us turning.
So I'm going to start with one that I'm actually doing myself.
Okay.
I feel like posture is so important to charisma. And this, I believe...
as you're saying it, I'm going to sit up a bit straighter.
Sit up a bit. I think there was an unholy matrimony in the last 5 years between COVID, becoming reclusive, cocooning at home, relying more on technology. And that got married to social media, video scroll, all of that.
Yeah.
And over the last 5 years, I feel like as a society, we have gone from looking out and looking forward and smiling and standing tall to this.
In your phone. Yep.
Hunched over. I'm not looking. Scroll. And so we have become very closed off. And as I mentioned, this is something I'm working on. So throughout the day, I have check-ins where I get a reminder, check your posture. And in the mornings, I am making sure that I'm actually standing tall, opening myself up. I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm doing full-on yoga, although I did do that in the past.
Okay.
But I definitely am. I'm focusing in because what you focus on expands.
Yeah, I agree.
On shoulders back, head high, and not holding my phone all the time or looking at my phone all the time. So
that's hard to do, but it's an excellent way to start your day and having those check-ins throughout the day, I think.
So, and I want to give one other thought on posture, then I'm going to hit the ball to you.
Okay.
Posture is not just how you carry and hold yourself, but it is also that, are you open and are you approachable? Because I think approachability,
I think that's a big one, yeah.
Right. And I would encourage all of us to, if we find ourselves crossed arms, which by the way is a comfortable way to stand. I may have even crossed my arms once during this recording because that was one of my habits I got into. But crossed arms is very closed off.
Yeah, that body language.
And sometimes in conversation with people, we could find ourselves with our arms crossed and actually leaning back a little bit and standing tall. That's not approachable, right? So my first item I'm putting out there is really focus on your posture.
I agree. And the thing with mentioning the posture is, like, as a realtor, sometimes if I have a difficult call, that those are hard to make. So I sit at my desk, but I make sure that my feet are grounded.
Yes.
There's something to do, and that's a posture just in life too. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there.
I think that's great.
Yeah. And then let's see. I think, again, it starts with you. So if you're not feeling good about certain things, I think it's put that focus on yourself before you go out. So probably I have a little bit of a hippie side, and things like just being out in nature, sunshine, that kind of thing. I do sound bath meditations to reconnect with myself, because I also, especially like as a mum as well, you can't pour from an empty cup. So for me, self-care is huge, and just taking care of yourself and making sure that cup is full before you can pour out.
Well, you will be pleased to know I am going to my very first sound bath experience at the end of the month.
Exciting. You're going to have to report back. I love them. I try and do them once a month. Yeah.
So I will report back. I'm glad to hear you say that, because I did actually think like, is that something I should try? So I'm glad to hear that you love it and that you do it. And now I'm more excited. I do have the appointment set, so I will be going.
It is incredible.
End of June.
And to me, and for anyone who's listening who hasn't tried it, to me, it's like having probably a weekend off in the space of an hour or two.
It's amazing.
So if I may suggest, don't do anything afterwards, because you'll probably be out of it. Don't schedule anything. Schedule downtime.
All right.
Yeah, I think looking in, being willing to laugh at yourself, just
absolutely
not to take things so seriously. Obviously, in a professional realm, the professionalism comes in, and that's very important. But I think you can also be lighthearted.
I agree.
That breaks the ice and makes people feel comfortable too.
I feel like it also makes you relatable.
Yes.
So if someone appears as, I am perfection every day, all day, look at me, even if they have a great smile, the perfection, the myth of perfection equaling charisma is that it can make you unrelatable and again, unapproachable, right?
Yep. So it keeps coming back to those points. Yeah.
I just had a crazy analogy or illustration of this pop to mind. There are some times when people are going out socially, and let's say it's several young ladies are going out socially, and there's one that I'll say is perfect, like looks like a model, absolutely put together, beautiful clothing, just head to toe perfection. And then there's a friend who might be a little shorter, maybe not quite as thin, not quite as perfect, might be having a slightly off hair day. And how often does it happen where that second friend is the one who creates more engagement or attention or conversation, right? So it's kind of an odd, like it's a way that an illustration where you can see that happening.
Just silly little things like from a realtor perspective. Obviously, when I first meet a client, you dress up and you're professional, and I actually do my own staging. I enjoy it. It's a creative outlet
beautiful.
for me. Thank you. But then I show up in leggings and grungy because I'm there to work.
Right.
So letting them see other sides of you too, not putting you on this pedestal of perfection, which I'm far from.
That is a brilliant example because you and I both know some of our colleagues, I love them all, yes. But some of them would show up to stage the house, in a gorgeous St. John suit with heels, really, so.
Yeah, how can you do anything?
And I think that ties into authenticity.
I think so too.
Because that's where you're more focused on impressing or leaving them impressed than having that authentic, genuine connection.
Yeah. And sometimes when people are trying to impress like that, it really makes the other party feel uncomfortable, almost inadequate if you're too dressed up or too elevated.
Right. I would agree with that too. So do you have another idea?
Let's see. Energy. I think energy is contagious. So you don't have to be the loudest person in the room. Just have a good energy about you. And if you're grumpy, don't go out. That might be a little harder to do. No, I'm just kidding. But it's, leave. And that's something I learned from hospitality is we all have stuff in our lives. Leave it at the door. You can pick it up. That problem is still going to be there when you're done. You can pick it up on the way out.
That's
right.
So
leave all of that behind and just I'm just thinking often you can become your client's emotional thermostat too. So how your energy is they're going to respond to that and feed off it in a good or bad way. And in fact, I was chatting to a past client yesterday. We were just catching up and she said something that really made me chuckle. It was not the easiest transaction. And there were times where we were all pulling our hair out. And she said, you would say something with your words, but it was something about your tone of voice and you didn't rage or anything like that. And that kept me calm.
Right.
So I could factually say the nonsense that was going on, but it was the way I said it and presented it. And so I think that also, because clients are going to feed off your energy. So keeping a calm, competent presence.
Yes.
Yeah, which comes back to presence. We seem to come back to that.
So
There's a few we keep coming back to.
I think going back to what has happened with the advent of social media, scrolling, phone addiction, plus COVID, as we talked about, eye contact has gone so removed from day to day. One of the tricks you can use to get back in the habit of eye contact is say to yourself, what color are their eyes? And when you do that and you actually look at their eyes to see what color it is, as I say that to you right now, you each anyone listening was probably like, wait, let me look. And they feel like it would be contrived, right? So when you think with your logical mind, well, that would be awkward. It won't, because when you just make that the habit you're going to do, and I would test it out anytime you're face to face with a cashier, coffee person, wait staff, checking at a hotel, just say to yourself, what color are their eyes? And you will find that you will look and you'll be like, oh, brown. And then you look away. So it does not become awkward. It's not like, can you open your eyes a little more? I'm trying to figure out what color they're. Yeah. So that is a practical tip that you can use if you found that working remote, being in Zoom rooms all day, whatever, if you've lost that natural eye contact, that is the way to start working it back in. That will be quick enough. It's not awkward. And you can reclaim that habit.
That's interesting. And that actually leads me to when you mentioned like greeting wait staff or something like that, is anybody who wears a name tag, use their name and use it early and often in the conversation. And even just use people's names. It's a connection.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is, and you're right. There's so much that we can learn from hospitality. And we had so many times to practice what we're doing with hospitality, with that industry. So I think that is brilliant. If they have their name, use it.
Yeah.
Use it
Or if you
often.
know it, use it, right? And
Use it.
hopefully you know the person's name that you're having a conversation with.
Right. I think that is a fantastic way where you could start to reclaim or build charisma.
And then it's just that connection. So I guess I would say charisma comes from connection in a
I think
way.
you're right.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I had
Or
not thought of it
connection
that
is a
way
foundation of charisma, perhaps.
because you can't have charisma in a silo.
No. And there's got to be a connection. It's just, yeah.
Okay, we have a new rule. Charisma requires one or more people.
There we go.
Um, as we talk about that, it makes me think of that old movie, I think it was Sunset Boulevard, where a lady was just in her house performing for herself for years, waiting for this thing to come.
Oh.
You can't be a hermit. You can't be alone in your house waiting for, being charismatic with yourself.
Yeah.
Unless,
no.
I mean,
That's
you and
another
I are,
conversation.
yes, you and I are not doctors, but I'll bet there's a diagnosis for that.
I would think there would be. Yes.
Yeah. So it just is, I want to take this because you've built such a great real estate career.
Thank you.
And even as a professional, you had an incredibly remarkable career in hospitality. So you've definitely been people oriented for a long time. When you think about the role charisma, your own natural charisma, has impacted both of those careers, what would you say that impact has been? How has that helped you in creating the success that you've had in your life so far?
I keep coming back to connection. Now, I think there's a converse relationship with that, is the charisma also leads to the connection, and it loops.
Tanya, when I think about your overall career as a professional woman, you had a brilliant career in hospitality for quite a long time. How many years were you in hospitality?
20 years. I'm aging
20
myself
years.
now. Yep.
And now you have built a really thriving real estate practice in Big Island, Hawaii. How has charisma played a role in that?
Well, I think, again, the charisma builds on the connection, and the connection is what helps you succeed in what you're doing. We don't do any of this alone. Hospitality, there's got to be that interaction. Then, there's a team, people that I had with me to help make the magic happen. And it's the same in real estate. And actually that charisma, I think that boils over to everybody that is in your circle. So when I had staff and I was managing people, there's got to be an element of charisma there too.
Agreed.
And so, I think it really helped in my management and leadership. And then in real estate, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And I think the charisma and the likability really helps, just that connection with your clients and to get clients. My past clients refer to me. I've got a wonderful, sphere of influence and friends and family that send referrals. And that I don't think would happen without the charismatic likability.
I agree. And I mentioned earlier the unholy matrimony of the COVID cocooning, social media, and phone addiction. I would say that charisma and connection is the holy matrimony because
I like that. Yes.
They feed each other and they become an infinity loop. So the more connections you have, the more charisma you develop, then then you get more connections. So it actually will build upon each other.
I think so too, yeah.
Who comes to mind when you think of, past or present, who comes to mind when you think of someone that really had charisma?
I might get a little emotional.
Okay.
So this is someone that way back when I first started my journey in hospitality. So I'm from South Africa originally, and I graduated high school, but I was too young to get into the program I wanted to do. So I worked for a year, then got into this program, and his name was Charles Lotter. And I just owe so much to him and his charisma, but he was so unapologetically himself as well. And that really stood out to me. He took me under his wing, and he was just an amazing man. So he's the man that comes to mind for me.
That's awesome. And do you feel like he inspired you in how you carried yourself
Absolutely.
And your self-confidence and how you would allow your body language and your energy to speak on your behalf?
Absolutely.
So you could listen to listen at a high level. When I think about it, I have some people that I know in real life, IRL, and I'm going to mention someone that I don't know in real life that I think has a certain charisma, and that is Keanu Reeves. So if you think about Keanu Reeves, I personally really love most of his work as an actor.
Hmm.
But I think we can all agree there's some people that think he's not an incredibly exceptional actor. And even I would admit there's a couple of roles he had where, there were a little bit of I'll say miscast. However, I think he captures fans that may not even like his movies.
Yeah.
Because he has that warmth, and it appears as if he has that curiosity around the people that he meets. He definitely moves with ease and elegance. He feels, when you see him, even though he's in Hollywood, he comes across as grounded and like a real person. So he has the approachability. And I also feel as if, now I know I'm talking about Hollywood, so could this all be an act? Possibly. I don't believe it is through his actions. But he appears so approachable.
I have to agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone that I wanted to give an example, and he's not perfect. He doesn't pretend to be perfect.
And don't try and be perfect, because there's that perfection paralysis too, but you also don't want to come across as we touched on that earlier with the confidence. You don't want to come across as being conceited or egotistical either.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's funny, the difference between arrogance and confidence. Huge difference.
Oh, it's like night and day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, that I think would be another area where if someone is feeling as if their energy is off, or they're feeling as if they lost, a spark they had, I would look at that and be gracious with yourself and yet honest with yourself. And are you leading with your knowledge and your expertise, or the need to be right, or look at me, or I'm the funniest person in the room? Actually fill in the blank. I'm the blank-iest. Fill it in the room. If you have fallen into that habit, then really take a look at it and go back to the curiosity.
And again, going back within. Yeah.
Yes. So and by the way, sometimes I feel like we all fall into that moment where, we're going to a networking event. We're like, oh, okay, I've got to knock their socks off. I've got to do this and that. And you really don't. You have to be yourself, be confident, smile, move with ease and elegance, and be curious about them. Then they're going to feel like you're fascinating.
To add one more thing is, don't try too hard.
Yes.
Because that's just uncomfortable, and people can tell. So it's just be yourself. Yeah.
Carrying that a step further, not everyone's going to like you.
And that's okay. That's okay. I don't like everybody. Probably shouldn't admit that, but I don't.
Yeah. It's pretty natural. I mean, we are humans,
We are humans after all, but
And I agree with you when I think about trying too hard. And I'm sure all of us can relate to this too, where you may have been excited and ready for a social opportunity, and you get there and it's not clicking. I would say, relax, smile with your eyes so you don't look like the creeper, right? And create a bigger divide. See if you can navigate it. Find the one person who you think could be that avenue to at least have a nice time and evening with at least that one person without hogging their time. But in that trying too hard, sometimes we try to force it. Well, let me be funnier. And we're sitting there and they're talking, and our mind, we're thinking, wait, I've got a story I could tell. She said she grew up in Africa. I went on a safari. Let me tell my safari story. Right. We all need to let go of that.
And that's also then you get so caught up in how you're going to respond that you stop listening.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible? And we'll talk about both.
Okay.
In hospitality, do you think it is possible for someone to be successful and have a long, successful, thriving career in hospitality if they have zero charisma?
There's a yes and a no answer there. If you are in the front line, no. If you are the chief controller, or you're doing accounting, or you're doing something in the back, then yes. But I think charisma is a very important part of succeeding in a front-facing position.
I agree.
You just need to make people feel comfortable.
What about in real estate?
I think you can get by, but I don't think you will succeed as well. So in a case like that, maybe partnering up with somebody. And if you're more comfortable doing the behind the scenes thing, doing transaction coordinating or pushing the papers, and then maybe have somebody else going out front. But I think you need it to be fully successful or succeed to your capability.
I agree. I also think if you want to build a business that is growing year over year and that has repeat and referral business, and is, I call it a legacy style of real estate practice that somebody might build, the charisma has to be there. And they're not all the same. They're all different, actually. That's how all of it, it's one of the things I love about
we're
our
all
industry.
different. Yeah.
That's right. We're all different. And that those of us in the industry that allow our natural personality and charisma to come through tend to build those more legacy style companies. Still can have a growth initiative. You can still grow year over year. You can have an actual business strategy. So you can still be a very astute business person running a multi-million-dollar sales corporation. But when you have that charisma, you're going to have clients that come back, clients that refer. You will have agents that want to work with you. You will have agents that when your offer comes over their desk on their listing, they're
smile.
like, I hope this is the best offer, So it's very key. I will say, and I don't know the percentage, but there is a small percentage of types of real estate where you don't necessarily need charisma. And that would be commercial, certain types of commercial, land. And I mean, even raw land or developing, not as key, still key. Not so commercial, you could be a little bit of an analytical cold fish.
Well, that's what you want in commercial. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. And then there are some, even in residential resale, or working with investors, because investors, that too, similar to commercial, it's so factual, it's so data-driven, analytical, where's the opportunity, timing is everything. So there's certain skills that rise to the top. Whereas in a regular residential resale, I do think charisma is where you'll have longevity in our industry.
I think so too.
So if you want to do, I call it churn and burn. If some agent comes in, they're like, I just want to sell as many houses as I can in the next 5 years, and then I'm out. And, that's fine. They could do that as well. But it's a very small that is a very skinny eye of a needle to thread through.
I agree. Yeah.
You know what? When I was just talking to you about that, sorry to ramble for a minute. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of doctors. So if you have an emergency and you go to the ER, an ER doctor does not need charisma. They need to be absolute experts, very quick on their feet, unbelievably observant. We don't care, right? We're
just save me.
Save me, save my family or friend. That's all we want. But with our family doctor or our regular doctor, or say you and I are both mothers, our obstetrician, well, then we want all of that expertise, but we also want the warmth. We want the warmth and the competence.
And the compassion.
Yeah. And yes, so it's very similar in that residential real estate versus commercial investor type of real estate.
I agree.
Well, I know that I could talk about this all day. But I think we probably should start to think if there's any final thoughts we would have, knowing also, Tanya, there are people out there who may be in corporate America or in management, or they may not be realtors or in real estate. Do we have any final thoughts we would like to share overall about charisma, how it could improve or impact your overall career?
Just wanted to touch on one other thing before we move on to that. I was just thinking as you were talking, is we've covered connection a lot in its relation to charisma, but I also think that the connection is also about finding something in common with the person that you're talking to. And I think that is a really quick way to get in. And then you can start building on things from there. So I think just finding a commonality. We have something in common. We can always find something in common with somebody.
With everyone.
With everybody, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then back to kind of corporate America, I think, again, it's that the most magnetic people aren't trying to impress. They're trying to connect. So it's that connection, the authenticity, and likability. You don't have to be liked by everybody, but making the right people feel comfortable and making them feel themselves around you. So I think it spills over into a lot of things.
I think it does too. And one of the ways that I think it carries over, you'll like yourself better. Yes. When you allow yourself to be yourself. If you stop fighting against your personality, trying to be someone else, or when you mentioned, I believe his name was Charles.
Yes.
Yes. He inspired you to bring out your best and develop your charisma. You didn't show up at work and say like, okay, let me try to act just like Charles today. You didn't turn into, trying to capture someone else's essence. You claimed your own and allowed that to shine and be a natural attractor. Well, I think that, as I mentioned, I feel like as a society, we have shied away from charisma, and I believe it is showing up in a variety of ways. If you look, there's so much more extreme thoughts between people. There's the whole Karen phenomena, with men and women. And I just thought, maybe if we could shift the focus and if we could make charisma popular, have people start thinking about it in our industry, because the real estate industry, we have a massive impact on everyone.
It's huge.
It's huge, right? So I feel like the more that we start bringing natural smiles, genuine curiosity, confidence in ourselves, an open posture, approachability, being authentic.
All of it, yeah.
Not, I tripped on the stairs, not like hiding that from the world. And just, we don't know whose life we will touch.
That's
just by
also
being
true.
ourselves.
Yep. And to add on that, when talking about the real estate industry, it's really important to me to have that relationship with the other realtors that I work with too. You've got to have, that is going to give you or help to result in a successful transaction. And they're not the enemy. It's us working together to get it done.
Right.
And I think that needs a little work in our industry, to be honest.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We need to, how do we start a charisma trend? I don't know.
Be nice.
We have to be nice.
Work hard,
yes.
Be nice.
Be yourself.
Right.
And look up from your phone.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we covered a lot of really cool practical tips and went over some ways that people can either reclaim or develop more charisma.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're in sales, you're in real estate, or you're in some other industry or hospitality, it benefits everyone. You just enjoy your day more. And we all can have an image in our mind. Sometimes it's easier to define things with an example of what is not. And with this conversation, as I mentioned, and you did too, if you're closed off, if you want to make people impressed with you, if you're leading with your arrogance rather than confidence, that's not charisma. So so if you're sitting there saying, I hear what they're saying, but I don't know how to grasp it, think of what you know as they are not moving with ease and elegance. They are moving with determination to be right, and they're going to have the last word.
They're out to impress. Yeah. And actually, that's a quick idea before we sign off, is going back to hospitality. So I did that for 20 years. I worked in hotels. I was on cruise ships. And you end up, you're walking around during your day and you are making eye contact and smiling and greeting everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm a little embarrassed to say I still do that. It embarrasses my kid so much, but it's ingrained. And so if you want to practice, just practice with people you don't even know. Just smile at somebody in the grocery line, I
think that's great advice.
Smile, nod, and, that's a little icebreaker there. You don't have to get into conversation, but it's probably a good way to practice.
I think that's excellent. And it helps immensely with connection and just how you feel in the day.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a really exciting conversation for me. I hope that everyone listening enjoyed it. Tanya, I want to talk about you for just a minute. You're currently practicing real estate in the beautiful, predominantly west side of Big Island, Hawaii. Although I believe you mentioned that you can assist people all over the island.
I can, yes. I do. I know the entire island really well. I'm an adventurous soul, so I love getting out and about, and I do know the island really well. I personally live on the west side, so I tend to focus on that, but depending on what help is needed, I can always help or put you in touch with somebody that I trust.
That is amazing. And then real quick, as you are in real estate and you're a practicing realtor, you are currently building your business at Real Brokerage. What do you love the most about working with Real?
Well, I'll be honest, it's been about 2 weeks. It's a very fresh transition, but I'm excited. It's reigniting and re-energizing me in real estate. It's cutting edge. The people are great. I mean, work hard, be kind. That's a motto, and that's amazing, and that speaks to me. So it's been really great with the onboarding, the ease of use of the systems, having AI built into it.
Excellent.
So that's been really great. And I'll report back. But so far, so good. I'm 2 weeks in.
Well, fantastic. And I'm putting all of your contact information in the description.
Well,
So
thank
reach
you.
out to Tanya if anyone is dreaming about a beautiful Hawaiian getaway. It's actually my favorite island.
Well, I hope that we will be seeing you later this year.
Don't tell my guest from Maui.
Right,
I won't mention that, but
okay.
I won't tell her. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing
Thank
all
you.
of this.
Thank you for having me
And
on. It's been a delight.
I appreciate your insight into this because I know it's such a key part of hospitality and real estate. And when I thought who would be a great guest to discuss charisma, you were the top of the list.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate having me on, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Aloha.
Aloha.